What it is, Guardians, Peace and Grease here, and today I want to talk about the two biggest problems with legendary lost sectors. This is definitely a situation where I kind of feel like I'm going crazy. Why has no other bigger content creators actually covered these problems except me with my shitty little YouTube channel? Despite that, we're going to get into it. All right, so if you didn't know, essentially when you run legendary lost sectors, the game is going to prioritize any exotics you don't currently have unlocked, and that's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with that. But it does lead to the first problem, which is if you're a new or intermediate player and you don't have very many exotics, then you run into a very serious problem here. Let's say, hypothetically, you run the Legendary Lost Sector and you get the Facade to drop, but it's a terrible roll. As a new player, it's the only exotic helm you have. So what does that mean for you? It means you're going to have to run the Legendary Lost Sector and unlock every other single exotic helm in the game just to have a chance at getting another Facade. That's clearly a problem. If you think about it, there are 9 helmets total in the game for the Hunter. Let's say, hypothetically, it takes you 4 Legendary Lost Sector runs for each helmet. You're looking at 36 runs. And that's if you get it in 4 runs. If it takes you 6 or more, the number goes up exponentially. And again, all of this just to have the opportunity to get another Facade. Yeah, clearly a big problem for new and intermediate players. But the inverse is true as well. It's compounded when we look at experienced and veteran players. As an example, when the Assassin's Cowl came out originally, it was the only exotic helm I was missing at the time. So I grabbed my Hunter, I went into the Legendary Lost Sector, and it dropped. But it was an absolutely terrible roll. So again, what are my options at that point? And the answer is I have none. I would now need to run Legendary Lost Sectors on Helm Day over and over and over again in hopes that I'm going to get another Assassin's Cowl. Now, because I had all the helmets unlocked, the game doesn't prioritize any exotics, and it's strictly based on RNG. Meaning, I could get 6 Knucklehead Radars back to back. I could get 4 Graviton forfeits. I could get 3 Masks of Baccharis. I could get 2 Wormhusk Crowns. And this could just continually cycle over and over and over again. In fact, here's the scary part, fam. 3 months of my life I dedicated to running crazy amounts of Legendary Lost Sectors on Helm Day, trying desperately to get another Assassin's Cowl. And would you care to take a guess, in that 3 months, how many dropped? 0. This is a massive problem, clearly. Both are massive problems. So, again, it ultimately boils down to this. What are your options if you find yourself in either one of these camps? And the sad reality is, you have no options. The fact that Bungie thinks it's adequate to tell your community, just farm the Legendary Lost Sectors for months and months and months, and if you get it, great. If you don't, oh well, just keep running it, is absolutely ludicrous. I mean, it just doesn't, there's no logical sense behind it. But what can we do? What can, more specifically, Bungie do to rectify these two problems? Well, it's actually far simpler than you would believe. I know I'm going to get comments down in the comment sections about it, so let me address it now. Somebody's going to say, well, Xur carries exotic armor. That's true, but Xur doesn't carry any of the new exotic armor. Xur typically only carries old exotic armor. And even if, hypothetically, Bungie were to say, to hell with it, let's just throw all the exotics into Xur's inventory, can you imagine how long it would take to cycle through Xur's inventory? Every exotic for a Titan, for a Warlock, and a Hunter, it would take ages. Not to mention the biggest problem, which is it would relegate Legendary Lost Sectors to dead content at that point. So, in my opinion, that's not a viable option. Okay, so what is the potential solution? Again, far simpler than you would think. If you were around for the beginning of Destiny 2, if you weren't, I'll explain. If you were, bear with me. Weapons did not have random rolls at the beginning of Destiny 2. Of course, since we have received random rolls, so it's all well and good. But an interesting thing you could do with these old weapons is you could pay resources to rework your masterwork. So if you were trying to focus on range or stability or handling, or you get the idea, you could continually pay resources to rework that masterwork until you got the one you were looking for. Really cool little mechanic, if I do say so myself. Obviously, random rolls are far superior, but I definitely think that it had a place at the time. But this is what I propose. Something very similar. Meaning, what Bungie does is they take an NPC that's already in the game. Once per week, a player can take an unlocked exotic piece of armor to this NPC. They can pay the NPC in resources and rework the stats on that exotic piece of armor. It's a win-win. It doesn't matter if you're a new or intermediate player. You no longer have to cycle through every damn exotic in the game to have an opportunity to get the one you're looking for. If you're an experienced or veteran player, you don't have to spend months of your life grinding through legendary lost sectors, hoping, fingers and toes crossed, that you're finally going to get a decent roll on that one piece of exotic armor you're looking for. This is the best possible scenario, and you still, coincidentally, have to run the legendary lost sectors to unlock the exotics in the first place. So ultimately, this, in my opinion, is the best possible solution to these two problems. Obviously, the elephant in the room is, would Bungie actually make that change? Only time will tell. We could hope that they would see reason. We could hope that they would reasonably understand that, yes, this is definitely a problem for all players involved, whether we're talking new or intermediate players or experienced veteran players. This is a definite problem, and they themselves would fix it. But again, time will tell. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you think that these are problems with the legendary lost sectors, or not? And until next time, peace out.